If you're a real estate agent and you're tired of cold calling, door knocking, and spending money on ads, then subscribe to this podcast. We discuss leveraging the power of YouTube for your real estate business and how these strategies earned us over $1 million in GCI our first year in real estate. My name is Levi Lascsak and my partner is Travis Plumb. Let's get started. All right, welcome. We are live here on The Real Agents on this wonderful Wednesday afternoon. So welcome everyone. And this is the opportunity where you can jump in and get your questions answered. You can either throw them in the chat below, or if you're in our private Facebook group, then you can get the link if you want to come on the live stream and ask your questions live. That's actually what we prefer because we love to interact and have conversations. So, and I think it looks like I think we finally got the camera stuff figured out. We may turn into professional YouTubers after all, who knows? So this is the fun thing about learning as you grow, and I think this is a cool opportunity to also stress the fact that it's progress, not perfection, is what we are always working towards. And I'm still a student of the game. I believe that 100%. I'm always learning, always trying to figure out new things, always growing. Attending conferences, meetings, masterminds, Zoom calls, whatever. If I see somebody post something somewhere, I'm going to jump on and always try to learn, and books as well. And sometimes reading the same books over and over and over again. Today we kind of wanted to talk about, as we give some people some time to jump on, we're going to give some people, as we do that, I wanted to talk a little bit about quality versus quantity. And this is something that we've discussed before as far as lead source opportunities, quality versus quantity. Now, typically, whenever I was getting ready to make my move into real estate, something that was very popular, still popular to this day, is Facebook leads, for example. And so the question always comes to the table of, would you rather have a lot of leads? And you could also clearly define what a lead is. But would you rather have a lot of leads because that keeps you busier, or would you rather have quantity or quality of leads to where clearly not as many, but you have a higher conversion rate? I think most people are going to say they want quality of leads. Now, the thing is that as you work through those clients and you convert them, then that does leave some time on your hands, possibly. But the main thing is that if you understand how you generated the quality leads in the first place, then you want to ramp up if if your schedule's not full. So the main thing to do is, first of all, I think you can control to a certain extent quality of leads through YouTube based on how much you post. And really that could probably be the same for any social platform. Depending on how often you post is going to determine if you generate business. Just like whenever we got started on YouTube, one thing I noticed was that any agent in Dallas was posting about one video a week. Well, first of all, if I want to get even close to catching them or possibly passing them at any point, I know I need to outwork them. So I'm going to start out with 3 videos a week. But 3 videos a week is giving myself 3 times the opportunity to be seen. Now, once you start to generate business from that and it starts to come in, it's very simple that if you back off of the content, then you're probably going to get less views from that, and then it's probably going to turn into less leads. And so now if you step up your content and publish more videos, that of course is giving you more eyeballs and more opportunities and probably going to generate more leads. Now, the thing is I've kind of seen it go both ways over our journey on YouTube in the last 18 months. Last month, and just for example, last month we had one of our highest viewed months ever on the channel. However, the lead flow kind of was less than what it normally is. Now, I think there's a couple of factors that do play into that. There is a difference between, or what's happening right now, there is, of course, the market shifting. Buyers are starting to back off, and because they're a little bit concerned about interest rates. Now, the thing is that if you want to survive in this market, I believe that the most visible agents are going to be the ones that survive through that, and you're likely going to be most visible on social media or online. So we're not going to back off of content. We're going to step up content is the strategy to do that. However, we have people in our pipeline from last year, 6 months ago and 12 months ago, that are coming to surface now because last 6 months ago and 12 months before that, they didn't necessarily want to jump into a red hot market where they were, having 30 offers on every single home. So now they're not as concerned with the interest rates. They're more about getting a good deal or not having to compete or fight with other offers. So we're actually in the last week, we've done more deals with I would say people that we've had discussions with in the past than ever before, which is a good thing because they said, 6 months to 12 months ago, they were waiting on the sideline for things to cool off. Now that things have cooled off, to a certain extent. I mean, here in Dallas, we're still seeing multiple offers on properties, especially the ones that are priced right. But we are finding more properties that have been sitting for a week or two, which, that's even way above normal anyways, but that seems like not normal compared to the last 12 months. But if they're sitting now for 2 weeks, then the listing agents are very happy to talk with us, work on a deal. So it's interesting how 6 months ago it was difficult to get a listing agent on the phone and also to try to work those deals, even though we were still successful at that. Now they're answering their phones. They're willing to negotiate. They're willing to do whatever it takes, to make things happen. But ultimately, the stats on Facebook leads are pretty dismal. Right now, they say Facebook leads on a conversion ratio average between 1% to 3%, meaning if you generate 100 leads, you're likely only going to close 1, 2, possibly 3 at the high end of those 100 leads. Now, the other stat that goes along with that is it takes on average 9 months to convert a Facebook lead. Well, why is that? It's mainly because Facebook is an interruption platform. Not a lot of people that I know say, hey, honey, it's time to buy a house. Let's go on Facebook and see what's on the market. So people are going to Facebook to catch up on their friends and families, to see what they're doing, to see what you ate for lunch, maybe to catch the news. It is more of a news source now to most people as well. And that's what they're going there for. They're not necessarily going there to search out real estate, but as they scroll, what happens is they get hit with a lot of real estate ads. That is interrupting what they're doing. However, you will collect leads from that. And on average, what I've seen, you could simply have a $10 a day budget, spend about $300 a month, and on average collect about 100 leads per month. That's pretty good. But again, that's 100 people to call. And Travis has done this. Several people that we've worked with have done this. And you can be successful from that. We're not saying this doesn't work at all. And you can close deals a lot sooner than 9 months as well. We're just saying that averages work out to about 9 months that it takes for most people. But you could find somebody that's in the market that is ready to make a move, and you could convert them very quickly within 30, 60, 90 days. We have seen that before. But Travis did this as well. Before we started working together, this was one of his main source of leads that he went through was Facebook ads. He was familiar how to run them, and so he did that, but he found himself calling for several hours per day just to try to have a lot of conversations with a lot of people that weren't necessarily even in the market. Most of them didn't know who he was, didn't remember what they clicked on, didn't remember what they filled out. They have capturing systems now to where if you just click on a couple of things, it will capture your data from Facebook. And so therefore, it doesn't even seem like sometimes that you input your information on there, but just by clicking a couple of buttons, that's giving permission for that ad to capture the information. And if that's the case, whenever you call someone, they may not even realize that they filled out that ad form completely. And so at the same time, they may say, oh yeah, what was this about? Oh, it's that real estate ad. Yeah, I just like the picture. I was just curious on the price of that home, or I was just looking around. And so that's what happens because, again, it's an interruption platform. You do get to talk to people and you can build a database that way. But again, what happens the next month is you're going to collect another 100 leads. And the next month after that, you'll collect another 100 leads. And then over 3 months, you've got 300 people now. From a quantity standpoint, that may seem great if you had nobody to work with 3 months previous to that. But then at the third month, if you're trying to just stay in touch with people once per month, now you've got 300 people by month 3 that you have to call through just to maintain some sort of relationship with them. And so that's where the struggle comes in, because guess what? After the 4th, the 5th month, you could have an additional couple hundred leads. And now after you think about it, 8 months, you have 800 leads. There's no way that you're going to be able to keep up with all those people on a monthly basis unless you build in triggers and automations and campaigns and things like that to follow up with them, which most CRMs these days do have those capabilities. So that's not too far gone. So that is one way you could look at the upside of this, is that it's a simple way to build your database to get people in your system. And if you can get them on follow-up campaigns and automated triggers and anything like that, then your system or your CRM or your AI or whatever it is you're using to work those leads could start popping up people 6, 7, 8 months down the road. And that's typically how that works. Now, the thing is that, again, you have to go through a lot of people and you'll spend the money to do that. So you get what they call top of funnel leads. That's really what Facebook comes down to. Not only is it an interruption platform, but these are what are called top of funnel leads. And there's three main levels of a funnel, which is top of funnel, middle funnel, bottom of funnel. All that is a fancy marketing term for sales process or sales journey or client journey, whatever it is you want to call it. Ultimately, people have to, people are out there. Not a lot of people know who you are. We knew this going into this, is nobody knew who we were. And so anybody that found us at the time wouldn't necessarily know we were in real estate if we started to run those ads, just like what Travis was doing on Facebook. Well, when they find that, they find the ad. That's top of funnel. They're just seeing you or your ad or your product or your service for the very first time. That doesn't mean that they know you at all whatsoever. They see you, may not remember you from the next day. And we know this because if you capture their information and you call them that day or even the next day, they may not even exactly know who you are. So they're unfamiliar with who you are. And so that's why on Facebook, you have to have targeting campaigns. You have to have retargeting campaigns. You have to have target audiences and custom audiences and lookalike audiences. And you have to put in all these different factors to do that, because what you're going to have to do is hit them again and again and again. They're going to have to become familiar with you. And so by doing that, by retargeting or continually posting, then when they come back on the platform, you'll be able to, retarget and hit them again with either same ads or different ads or something like that. And that way you start to put them through the process. You try to move them to middle of the funnel. That way, whenever they see your ads, they start to build some sort of familiarity with you. But it really is more of a familiarity standpoint versus a relationship standpoint. Now, the thing is again, once if you take them through that next step to bottom of funnel, ultimately bottom of funnel is whenever they've made a decision to where either they reach out to you is ideal. That's the best way. Now, again, you could call them anytime that they're in middle or top of funnel, and that's still not usually the best place to capture somebody because they still may not know who you are. But if you get to the point where you market to them over and over and over again and they reach out to you, then they've moved themselves to bottom of funnel. They've become bottom of funnel leads. And so therefore that you have a higher chance of converting that client at the time. As to where YouTube walks clients through this entire process at no charge. Actually, YouTube will target them for you. And that's the great thing about YouTube, is that, and especially since things are based on search. I know that we talk about that people want to find your videos, or ultimately you want YouTube recommendations and browse features to recommend your videos, but ultimately that can be seasonal, as we've discussed in other videos, versus evergreen. Search is an evergreen strategy. So anytime somebody searches the keywords that we've placed in our videos and built our videos around, they're likely to pop up first and foremost. And so if they find that, first of all, they feel like they found that video on their own. They feel like it's a trusted video, and so therefore YouTube has recommended it to them, and people trust YouTube so much to do that when they search and it pops it up, they say about 73% of people will choose one of the first 5 videos that pop up in search. So that's a really important factor of getting your videos ranked in the top 5 results, because that is going to give you a better opportunity for somebody to click on your videos. Then if you have 2 or possibly 3 in the top 5 search results, you're going to look like an automatic authority figure. You're going to look like the most popular person in your field of business. And that could be real estate, it could be plumbing, it could be financial advising. And you've seen this when you've searched other topics, you've seen other creators' videos. Probably if you see 2 or 3 of them pop up in the top 5, you're probably going, oh, well, this person must be the authority, so I'm probably going to click on one of their videos. So that is very, very important, but you want to at least get one of those videos in the top 5 because that's going to give you a better chance. So from there, they're at top of funnel, but then they clicked on your video. Well, the most important thing at that aspect is, at that point, is to have quality of content. So quality does matter here again, because if you have quality of content, then people are going to stay plugged in to that video. They're going to stay dialed in. They're going to watch it. And if they watch a majority of that video, that's going to trigger YouTube to want to recommend another one of your videos, or maybe even multiple of your videos, especially on that suburb, or they may recommend another suburb based off of other people's viewing habits. And so once they recommend another couple of your videos and that person clicks on a second or third or fourth video, now they've moved themselves to middle of funnel. Now they're starting to recognize you, which is why we recommend having your face on the thumbnails. As much as that may seem like an ego thing, or if you're making the thumbnails, I mean, when you're making that thumbnail, your face looks huge on there. If you want it to take up what we recommend as a majority of 1/3 of that thumbnail, you're going to sit there and go, man, my face is big. But you got to think about it being on some of the smallest devices. So from there, once they've clicked on a second, third, fourth video, they've moved themselves to middle of funnel. They are starting to build a relationship with you because they're starting to view more content. And this is where the relationship piece comes in. And so that's where they go through that middle of funnel, and they'll live there a majority of the time until they actually decide to reach out to you. Once they reach out to you and they place a phone call to you, or a text message, or an email, or a Zoom call, they've moved themselves to bottom of funnel, and they've made the decision at that point that they want to work with you. And so they've gone through that whole entire sales process. YouTube has helped them, but their search results got them there in the first place, and it's a combination, but no ads were needed. Nobody feels pressured into doing anything. They make the decision on their own. And so that's why for us, our average contact to under contract is 47 days. That's how quickly these people get under contract, because whenever they call us, they're in the buying process. They're ready to make a move. They're in the decision-making process. We actually just had a 5-star review on our profile last week, and that's what the person wrote on there. They said, we watched your channel for a year before we reached out. And once they reached out, it took about 45 days to get them under contract, again, because they were consuming that content over that time. And once they find your videos as the most helpful, and they could watch other people's videos as well. And again, it does come down to personality on top of that. YouTube tells us the top 15 channels that our audience watches. 13 of the top 15 of our channels are other Dallas real estate agents. And their real estate channels. Some of them are Texas real estate agents or real estate channels. So we know that people are watching our, what you would say, direct competition on YouTube. Now, ultimately, you are your own person, and that's what people are going to relate to. Like attracts like. And so therefore, people are going to call the people that they want to work with. It's the same concept behind real estate shows. Being that all of you are likely real estate agents, you probably watch, if you watch TV. I know none of you really watch TV, but if you did, you watch all the real estate shows, Fixer Upper, Fixer Flop, $1 Million Listing, and you may consume all those shows, but if you had to choose one of those agents to work with, you could only choose one, and you would choose one probably that you relate to the most, that you like their personality the most, that you would feel like you would have fun hanging out with them. That's the same thing on YouTube. That's why we're not worried about other channels coming or going or popping up, because what's going to happen is people will click around, and if there's 3 different agents or 5 or even 10 different agents making videos about Frisco, and you're thinking about moving to Frisco, you're probably going to watch all those videos, but ultimately you're not going to resonate, or your client's not going to resonate with they're only going to choose one agent. That's what it's going to come down to. And we don't have, I think in this whole time frame of everything that we've generated, we've only had less than 5 people. So less than 5 people that has said, I'm deciding between you and another agent. And I'm pretty sure we locked up 3 of those still. The other 2, we just, it is what it is. But, most of the time, again, when people call us, they've made the decision that they want to work with us, even though they may have viewed all those other channels. So ultimately, what that, again, comes down to is that we believe that with long-form content, with YouTube, you're going to generate more quality leads than quantity leads. And now the good thing about paying for lead sources is that should be controllable. You should understand a conversion process as well. You should understand that, hey, if I spend $10 a day or $20 a day or $30 a day, that's going to get me this number of leads. Well, you need to understand your conversion as well, because what we like to say is that you should never have a marketing budget. You should have a testing budget. So if you are going to pay for ads, you should only have a testing budget to test to see what your conversion rates should be and is it worth it. Now, if it takes you $10,000 worth of leads to sell a $300,000 home for a $9,000 commission, then you might want to consider your options on another lead source. But if you spend $3,000 and you close a $9,000 commission, well, shoot, you should want to spend $3,000 all day long, because if you can net 6, then you rinse and repeat. And the thing is that that one home is really what you want to look at as the conversion. I closed one home by selling $3,000 or spending $3,000. Now, because those commissions could vary, you may close a $400,000 or $500,000 home. You close a $500,000 home and you get 15. Well, then of course your return is much greater. But you want to look at homes to cost ratio, because commissions are going to kind of jump up and down. So that's a little bit harder to gauge. But if I can close one home for every $2,000 I spend, it's just a matter of cranking that up. And you should spend as much as you possibly can. Again, because once that becomes the case, you shouldn't have a marketing budget on that. You tested to find out it takes you one home with every $2,000 of ad spend to close, and that's how you scale that. Now, organically, through YouTube, I think that comes down to publishing videos as far as controlling the lead flow. So if you start to get too many leads, let's say you're a solo agent, you don't really have ambitions to expand to a team or anything like that, then you could back off of content. If you back off of content, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get less leads, but it could get to a point where it may take a month or 2 or 3 for that to die off a little bit. You could also have videos that take off and return you way more views than you were expecting. And this is actually something that happened to us at the beginning of the year, actually the end of 2022 or end of 2021, moving into 2022, is the first time that we had many viral videos take off. One of the videos we published on Thanksgiving Day, and then almost every video we published for the next 2 months after that started just take off right out of the gate. And therefore we backed off of content because we hadn't seen our channel do that before. So we had to evaluate and figure out, okay, what's going on? Did we do something different? What's the content that we released? We had to analyze the different aspects of that to really try to understand what was happening. But if the views were there and we're only publishing one video a week at that point, well, did it equate to phone calls? Now, we got a lot of phone calls in the first quarter of 2022. So now the exact opposite has happened. So that's what I'm saying with organic. It is interesting, and I think we're still figuring out how do we control that accordingly. But I know that last month, again, we had our most views ever, but in the last 2 weeks, we've been down in leads. Now, what's happening here in Texas? Everybody's going back to school. It's end of summer. There's a little bit of chaos going on in the family life, so that's what we expect. But again, we've also seen our biggest uptick in clients that we've worked with 6 to 12 months ago that said they were going to wait, come back out and say, okay, now's the time to buy. So the people that we see right now may be holding off. Now, last fourth quarter, we had a very strong September, October, November, December. Even during the holidays, actually November was our biggest month last year. So if that's any indication of what's going to happen this year, then we could be in store for a great fourth quarter, and that's what we expect. Once people get settled back in from school, I don't know, and they start watching TV again, right? That's it. When they start watching TV, watching our videos, because actually a majority of our traffic comes from TV. And so therefore we know that they're sitting down, taking time to research and getting ready to make a move again. But the same thing with Facebook but with Instagram and TikTok. I know some agents right now that seem to be having success on TikTok ads. But again, TikTok is a top of funnel platform. As far as I know, nobody's going to TikTok saying, hey, honey, it's time to buy a house. Let's go see if we can find the best dancing real estate agent. Now, they may find you on TikTok or come across your dancing real estate video and they can like you, but they're probably not in the market at that time. Again, they're top of funnel. This is interrupting what they're looking for on TikTok. And so therefore they could like your content, follow you and say, okay, this person's pretty funny, or I like this person's content, or they're providing good education or information. So they could do that, but it could be 6, 12, 18, 24 months before they come into the market. Now, you can target them, through TikTok and start to run some ads to them that way. And I know 1 or 2 agents that are having some success with that. Other than that, I haven't really had many discussions with agents that are doing or running TikTok ads very well. So that could be, I think that is a good opportunity right now to do that. So let's see here. And I'm just gonna bring in Chrissy. We got her hanging out backstage, and see what else is coming. What did I miss on there as far as quality versus quantity of leads? Because I know you, when we first met, you've run Facebook ads. You've got that marketing background as well. Now that you see what we generate through YouTube, can you kind of compare what you've seen in your previous marketing life versus your new marketing life?
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's just like you said. I've done pretty much every ad you can think of. I've done Facebook ads. My background, when I first started my career, I was in Google ads. And so, and it was literally, that's, 10 years ago. 10 years ago, it was basically throwing out as much as you could and just seeing what landed, basically, and Facebook ads were in their baby stages. Facebook ads, they were pretty much non-existent. We were really just kind of experimenting with a lot of different types of ads, image ads, messing around with that. And honestly, the clients that got leads, any leads during the month, we'd be spending hundreds and even thousands of dollars a month with certain clients. And just getting a couple leads a month was a huge win for them. And I just don't see that type of low conversion with YouTube. With YouTube, it's just very unusual for us to not be getting calls each day, versus, I would have a monthly or a bi-monthly call with my clients back when I was doing Google ads specifically. And it would basically be like, did you get one lead this month? And they'd be excited if they got one, So I just think that overall, you're seeing a big difference with YouTube, because a lot of the stuff that would come in from my clients they'd get a lot of stuff. They'd get a lot of inquiries, but it was a lot of spam. It was a lot of people who were looking for something that was completely different than what they were offering, and back then it was really more receiving emails, and, even e-commerce was a little bit limited with a lot of the people I was working with. But, with YouTube, it's very unusual for us to not be getting calls each week and to not be getting inquiries in different ways. We have so many different ways for people to get in contact with us from YouTube, and we don't even have a really, pushy way to get people to give their information. I think probably the most in-your-face way that we have is a survey, and it's completely voluntary, So the fact that we have such high conversion on such a low push type of ad is really incredible. And so YouTube has just kind of blown every other type of ad I've ever done out of the water.
Yeah. All right. Well, we see a few of you out there. There's a few. So go ahead and drop some questions or comments. You can in the chat box, or we have the link in the Facebook group, correct? So the link is in the Facebook group, and if you're one of our Facebook members, then you can jump on that link if you want to come on the live stream. We've had some some pretty active conversations previously already. But maybe now that we got the camera working and everything's everything's running top notch, everyone's taking a day off, or maybe they're all getting their kids in school, right? Didn't you just start back school this week as well?
Yes, Monday was our first day back. I've been seeing lots of people on Facebook with their kids getting back into school too. So
yeah. So, something else is that, so we talk about conversion rates, and that's, I don't know if I mentioned that earlier, but our conversion rate right now, I just ran it again since the last 18 months, we are still running consistently at a 13% conversion rate. And we still are running at a 47-day contact to under contract. Just reran all the numbers because we got a couple of opportunities coming up here where I'm going to be able to throw out some stats. And so I wanted to make sure all that was good to go and still the case. And it is. So 13% conversion compared to even at 3%, you could say on Facebook, that's pretty significant. You have to talk to a lot less people. But then you take into account that this is inbound versus outbound. I mean, everybody that reaches out to us is coming to us. They're initiating the call, they're initiating the text or the email or the Zoom call. And that also puts them in a position of confidence. It puts us in a position to where again, like you said, we don't have to really sell them on us. We just confirm, I believe, who we are. And this is where we talk about, you definitely have to be who you are on camera because we will meet our audience. You don't want to be a character on YouTube and then be somebody completely different. But the thing is that with 13% conversion, that means the people that are coming in are highly qualified and motivated, and then also we're having less conversations to get more deals, and that ultimately is the best way to to do business, right? You want to convert higher so that you are getting a lot more out of your efforts there, and or with less effort, really, is what we should say. So that's the opportunity there. So what else have you seen as far as so Google Ads? So that's the other thing too. We started to work on an experiment with some LSA ads, but those are even down right now as well, huh?
Oh, for sure. Well, and the LSA ads, it's just that user experience. Well, going back to when I was first in marketing, actually, we did a really big campaign for IGN. For people who know gaming, we were the sole marketers for IGN, and our percentages on that, we were excited when we hit a 1% conversion rate on our ads there. That was a huge deal. Our goal was to get between 1% and 3% on everything that we did. And so, that's, and things have changed, things are probably a little bit more efficient now because I kind of got out of Google Ads a few years ago because it was just not converting well for my clients. And I just didn't really think it was a good use of money and funds. And so I really started kind of pursuing a lot more of the organic types of leads and lead generation. But, it still kind of stands true. You see with Facebook, it's usually around the 3% mark too. So, in that regard, it really hasn't changed that much. But yeah, just overall, even the LSA ads that we run, we'll occasionally get somebody who actually comes in and converts from that. But it's just a lot harder. For me, I've been on the phone before. I don't do the phone calls anymore, but when I would get on the phone with these people, they just were very hesitant to give personal information. It was more of, by the end of the conversation, I felt like they kind of warmed up to me. But overall, it was not the same as talking to somebody from YouTube. People called me and they were like, Levi said this a bunch when people call him, but people would be telling me about their kids. I had somebody who was telling me all about all the things about their religion that they wanted to be close to certain areas. They just opened the envelope and told me everything. And I'd never met these people. They were just excited to talk to me. So I feel like it's just an attitude difference and just the ability to kind of close somebody. It's a lot faster and it just doesn't feel like I have to be salesy when I talk to people. And I know that, our team members feel the same way. It's just a lot easier to talk to somebody who already feels like they know you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's and we talk about you think about it, if I was a used car salesman, which by the way, nothing against used car salespeople, but they have that stereotypical reputation of selling people something that they don't want. So what typically when people, and by the way, let me get to living in Annapolis, Maryland. Can you explain how we can chat instead of typing a question? Are you in our Facebook group? Type yes if you're in our Facebook group. And if you are, then the link should be in the Facebook group. And you can just click on that and it should bring you in.
Yeah, it should be at the top of the group. I just posted it for people who are in our Facebook group.
So, oh yeah, so car salesman, that's the thing. The funny thing is that, people are apprehensive whenever they do need a used car or even a new car. I mean, I think even when people want a new car, now the thing is that I think that goes back to intention versus interruption. Like when somebody has intention and they want a new car, a lot of times people are already sold on the fact that they want that new car. They've already been looking at it, researching it online, maybe saw it with a friend or out and about. So when they go in, that's usually pretty easy. But if you go to buy the used car, you're always concerned and going in there because you don't know who you're going to meet, but you assume they're going to be pushy and they're going to try to sell you the car that they want to sell the most or get the most profit off of. And that's where that stereotypical reputation comes from. But if there is think about this, if I was a used car salesman, I would definitely have a YouTube channel and I would be explaining things, not just about the cars on my lot, but cars in general. And if you walk people through, this or that, or, hey, we just got this car in, let me show you a couple of things. This is why it's a good deal, or this is why we have it priced, the way we have it priced, now that, well, you could actually attract a national audience because the fact of, you think about even during the last 2 years, a lot of people bought online. I actually bought one of my current cars over the internet, never even saw it, but it was the model and everything that I was looking for. Bought it from a dealership in California and they shipped it to me. It was a used car. So it was the specific one that I was looking for. So just from my research, I was already sold on that. But and so you could, if I was in that position, I would have a YouTube channel explaining the good, the bad, the ugly about the cars on my lot and what's going on, and then things like that. And if you were in that area and wanted to physically go into that dealership, you'd probably feel a lot more comfortable if you watch this person's videos. If you watch 10, 20, or 30 of their videos, you'd probably feel like, hey, I know Joey, Joey's a cool guy. I'm going to go down there and see Joey. And then it's the old saying by Ryan Serhant, people hate being sold, but love shopping with friends. And so whenever they go into that dealership, they feel like they're shopping with a friend instead of the fact that they're going to get sold something. Same thing with us. Typically, how do you differentiate real estate agents, especially when everybody seems to know 8 to 10 of them, and half of them are your family members? So if that's the case, then it's like, how do you make that move? And actually, y'all experienced this recently, right, Chrissy? That your husband was chosen over somebody else just for the fact that he had a YouTube channel.
Yep. Yeah, they looked at like 4 or 5 different agents and they finally ended up, searching on YouTube, and they were just excited because they wanted to meet the person before they actually talked to somebody, because they were looking from out of state, didn't want to waste time working with somebody that they knew that they didn't want to work with, and nobody else had enough information. So when they went and they looked on YouTube, he popped up with 5 videos versus they had 1 video. And he ended up winning out that race with somebody, but it was against somebody else who had been on YouTube longer but didn't have as much content as he did.
Yep. So, okay, living in Annapolis, if you're in our Facebook group, then you should be able to click on the link in the Facebook group. It should be posted up there, and we'll give you a few minutes. Otherwise, if we don't have any other questions, then we can call it a day, because I definitely got plenty to do. I'm sure Chrissy does as well. So,
yes, always.
Yep. Yeah, but I definitely would have, no matter which business I was in right now, I would have a YouTube channel if I have that opportunity to attract clients from anywhere, and you'd be surprised. Now, the thing is if licenses are involved, that does depend on a state-by-state basis. I know in my previous business in financial services, unlike real estate, see, the cool thing about real estate is that we can be licensed in our primary state and help people all over the country, and especially with our brokerage all over the world, and we can collect a referral fee. I don't need to be licensed everywhere. That's a cool thing. Now, when I was in financial services, I had to be licensed in every single individual state, and I think I held 6 6 licenses at the time, and they ranged anywhere from $50 a year to $350 a year, depending on the state. Some were even up to $500. But I had 6 different ones, and I think the most expensive one I had was, probably around $350 to $400. I had one as low as $50 as far as a maintenance. But you add that up, you think about that, doing that for all 50 states. And now what would happen is I would usually wait, and whenever I got and that was just from referrals. I didn't have a YouTube channel at that time. So that was just from referrals. If I got an out-of-state referral, then I would be like, well, just give me a minute. Let me get my license there real quick, and then I would be able to help them. And that was a hassle in itself. Now, I didn't have to take the state exam. There is opportunity to where you just have to pay the fees and do a quick, some quick paperwork. So I didn't have to actually take an exam for every single state, but I did need to get licensed. But as long as you're licensed in, your primary state, then it was just some paperwork, some red tape, and of course, money to get that license. But ultimately, there's a couple of states where I got licensed to help people, and then all of a sudden, we ended up not even moving forward or working together. And so then I ended up just having, paying for licenses in states that weren't really necessary. So that was, that's the downside of that. But if I had an opportunity to sell my product or service or to get my brand out there, then I would definitely be on YouTube now. The thing is I see this working in so many ways for so many different businesses. There's just huge opportunity. Actually, whenever I was in Lake Tahoe this last weekend, got the opportunity to speak at that mastermind event. One of the guys there now, of course, it was a majority of real estate agents, but there was a guy there that builds, that rehabs cars. Not only does he rehab cars, he restores classic cars. And so he knows how to flip cars and how to restore cars. And what he had 2 different ideas, but he was like, man, could this work for my business? I was like, absolutely. We ended up talking for about 40 minutes. And the way I saw it, he had 2 different channels that he could do. And I told him, I think it's a great way to generate business. I mean, you think about any restoration business, those are popular channels. I mean, any before and after. I mean, you could, what's that show on HGTV? It's like a flea market flip or something like that. I mean, people just buy random stuff and renovate it. I mean, you could make a YouTube channel out of yourself. You could go to flea markets. You could buy stuff that you find all around. And if you document that, restore it, put it on YouTube, I mean, this is the best opportunity, I believe, for you to make money with your hobby. I mean, 15 years ago, before YouTube existed, quilting probably didn't pay a lot, right? But now there's quilting channels with millions of subscribers. Shoeshine, the Shoeshine guy. I always tell that Shoeshine story, which I used to feel bad for the Shoeshine guy because I thought, man, every time I go to the airport, they're usually standing around. I mean, sometimes they have some customers, and I've gotten my Shoeshine there a few times, and it's $10. Give them a $5 tip, but still, I think, man, $15. How many shoes you got to shine through the day to really make a decent living? But that's whenever I'm looking at it on the surface level versus when I go onto YouTube and I found a Shoeshine channel with 1.5 million subscribers. And all they did is they had a fixed camera above their Shoeshine stand, and they got every kind of different shoe you could imagine on there every day. I mean, that's what you think about it, even doing 10 shoes a day, he's got 10 different pieces of content, 10 different videos. I mean, you could crank out a lot. He had sponsorships and brand deals and all kinds of things for that channel. So that's just the place. That's just his place of documentation. You could see it. It's his workshop almost. And so this person could absolutely love shining shoes. And I would imagine they probably even take it a step higher because they are documented. So they probably put that extra effort into that because they know so many other people are going to see that. Because if somebody shines my shoes and it's not perfect, I'm going to be like, okay, cool, no big deal. Go on my way. It's still better than nothing. But, that person that's documenting that, posting that on a video, and on a channel, they're going to be on top of their game every single time. So I think that's kind of a cool thing. All right. See, all we got to do is tell people we're gonna get off the. All right. It's time to wrap it up, and then let's see. So let's go with Nicole. What you say? When it comes to average view time, is there tips you guys give to get that up? I've posted 3 videos so far, and I feel like the average view time is bad. Yeah, I mean, there's several things you can do. You can, I mean, we talk about this in the editing. You can, jump cut. You can pattern interrupt. You can, those are really kind of the two main things. Is if you watch a TV show this day and age, and I watched this real estate show the other day specifically for this reason. I wanted to see how many times they cut angles. And if you haven't noticed this, you'll notice it now. Go to probably any show on Netflix, maybe, turn it on, or go to any real estate show and turn it on and see how many times there's a camera angle change. On this real estate show I watched, I counted every 2 seconds. Literally every 2 seconds there was an angle change. Now, they're professionally produced TV shows, so they've got 6 different cameras, so they could literally just cut. And so somebody would be talking, they would cut to somebody else's expression. They would cut back to that person from a different angle. Then they'd cut to somebody else's expression. Then they would cut back to that person from a third different. I mean, it's pretty interesting whenever you're looking for these things, what you'll notice. And so I was sitting there going, every 2 seconds. Now, could that be overkill on a real estate video or neighborhood vlog? Well, I don't know. You look at Roger Wakefield on The Plumber, and plumbing. Who would think? Nothing against plumbers, but who would think plumbing would be an interesting, concept that Roger has well over 400,000 subscribers on YouTube, but he is an amazing business owner and YouTube creator. I've had the pleasure to actually we've had him on our podcast, and I've met him at Vid Summit, and so we've had several conversations. Plus, he lives in Dallas. But you watch his channel, and for a plumbing channel, when he does his office videos, he has, I believe, 4 different cameras in his office, and he cuts. He cuts from straight on, he cuts from the left, he cuts from the right, and he has, I think, a overhead camera as well. And then he has B-roll. So B-roll, pattern interrupts, camera angle changes, jump cuts. On our videos, we edit out my swallows. That whole second of that's natural. If you've never noticed anybody doing that now, I'm sorry, but you will notice that now. When people talk, you naturally have to swallow your saliva. It's a natural pause. Now, the thing is when we're in conversation, it's great, but if you're a long, how do I say this correctly? A long swallow. That's probably something you might want to cut out. But that's the thing, is that you'll notice it if you ever watch somebody's video and there's a slight cut to where it seems as if they never take a breath, or they have just a slight face change or a slight change. That is even a jump cut. That's enough of a cut right there to do that. So the other aspect is B-roll. B-roll is kind of the easiest thing. You can pop up stock footage, stock photos, something else. When I'm in the neighborhood, you'll notice, well, if I'm holding a camera, there's quite a bit of movement. That's a camera angle change. So if I shift like this, or I switch hands, so not only does my arm get tired of holding out, a phone, a little selfie stick, but then I just switch it. If I switch it, I've got a completely different angle. I can show this side of the neighborhood. I can show this side of the neighborhood. I can, show straight behind me. I can even come up and kind of show, different angles. That's one way that I do it. So neighborhood videos, I feel like we have a lot of natural jump cuts and natural camera angles, and so I don't need it. But now, actually, Chrissy knows this. I just did an office video, and I set up a cell phone. So not only was there the straight on camera, but I set up a cell phone horizontally next to me on the tripod, so we had a side view angle. But we could easily fix up, a camera on the side or something like that. So even when you're doing an office video, it could cut back and forth between 2 different angles, because that's what I was thinking. I was thinking of Roger, actually. And I also think it's a different look. It in that wide angle camera, you can see my equipment, you can see the background, whereas to my front camera, the background's blurred, but in the studio camera, but on my cell phone, it's just straight clear. So, now we just did a camera change. Thank you, Alex. So now we just did a camera angle change. So now you can see everything. First of all, this is clear, as to where on the other one is a little bit blurry, but now you can see over here. Look, we even have ourselves up on the TV there. But you can see a bookshelf, you can see a different angle. Now you can do a little close-up there. All right, now we're getting really fancy. So if we want to even change this up on the live stream, then we have these, these opportunities to do that here, to where we can shift from different angles because we're running on different cameras. And that's set up too. If we want to have a guest in studio, we could do that. So there's all these different ways that you can just kind of break up the video so that you're not, hello, welcome to the neighborhood. Today I'm going to take you around, show you a few homes. I mean, so that's the other thing. Step up your energy a little bit. Who said this? But somebody said you need to be, is it 2 or 3 times your energy than you naturally are? Because the camera, not only does it add 10 pounds, it also reduces energy. So exactly what you don't want. The camera adds 10 pounds and reduces your energy by 50%. So you need to have twice the amount of energy that you have, and think about that. So if you are not as motivated or you're uncomfortable talking trust me, that's going to come through, and it's probably going to come through magnified. So, this is where you've got to kick it up a little bit, kind of like when you do with a client. Whenever you're right before you meet that client, everything in your day has gone completely wrong, and then you go, you pull up and you meet the client in the house, and you're like, hey, how's it going? Oh yeah, it's been a great day. I mean, beautiful weather. Oh, I love it. Even though your house just burned down, the kids just got put in jail. I mean, everything, and you're just like, oh yeah, oh, beautiful, beautiful day. So that's the way you need to be on camera. I mean, literally, when you hit record, it's funny if you see any of my, you won't ever see that, but anytime I sit down, it's kind of like, okay, and then I go, and hit that record. I smile as big as possible because I got to remind myself, okay, I'm about to be on camera. Somebody's about to watch this. Somebody's going to, is looking for the information. And you just come off better if you smile in your videos as well. So if you're just kind of like, yeah, well, on top of that, you'll attract those people, right? So work on doing that. So hopefully that helps, Nicole. That kind of helps you understand a little bit about there's a lot of different things you can do, but just think about how you can change that up and switch it up.
Well, and also just kind of get to the point a little bit sooner too. Like some people, they spend like 10 minutes in their intro before they roll like their musical intro, like what we usually recommend to people. And they'll sit there and they'll talk about, stuff that maybe isn't the most exciting thing at the very beginning of the video. And then they lose people, a minute and a half in. And so sometimes when we see the view duration in low, and then we also see a drop off happening at a certain place, we like to look and see, well, what were you actually saying at that point, And so that's one other thing too. Levi's really good at just like within the first 2 to 3 minutes, he's ready to cut into musical intro, and then he's ready to cut into, his hook part and all of that stuff. So I think it's just really important to kind of get to the point, especially in your early videos. I feel like we kind of experimented with kind of having longer introduction parts where before we roll the intro piece, musical intro, where you've talked about stuff. And I think we kind of retain those people still. But in your early videos, when you're still kind of establishing your brand and establishing your audience, it's important to kind of just get to the point too. So that's where I see a lot of people kind of go wrong, is that they do these really long intro pieces and then they lose people before they even get to the meat of the video.
Yeah. Good points. Hey, Paul and Kyle, I see you there. If you can, bump on your camera and let me know you're there. And all right, let's see Paul there. Let me answer this question, Paul, and I'll pull you up here next. So once you start making videos, how long on average does it take to put a buyer under contract? I mean, I believe what I've seen is around 90 days, and that's if you're posting. Really, you should be 3 videos a week, but I've seen it done with 2, but we've also helped people that have put a deal under contract within 3 weeks. That's the fastest I've seen it is 3 weeks and getting somebody under contract. So I think it just varies in your market, but ultimately my recommendation is always produce more content as fast as possible in the beginning. I'm not saying do videos every day, but 3 videos a week, I believe, is what's going to kickstart your channel, get you off to the right, on the right pace. And so, and it's different. You never know. That channel that got the deal under contract, that's a crew we work with, Living in Houston crew, and they only had 2 videos when they got the first call. So 2 videos out and got the first call within 6 days. So I'm going to bring up Paul in here. Paul's at the coffee bar, which looks lovely. I like an afternoon coffee. I do. Iced Americano myself.
That was my wife's project that I got to do.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Well, what's up, Paul? Where are you calling from?
Colorado Springs.
Okay, cool.
I think there was, I consume a ton of your content, and it is amazing.
Thank you.
Part of Brad Vandewall's group, and that's a little bit of how I've come into finding you. And this is the direction I want to take my business.
Okay.
Been around it for since 2005, but this is, man, I've worked leads and all that crap, and I'm just tired of it, and I don't mind the video at all.
Yeah.
So anyway, to the point, I think somewhere along the line you mentioned Quora and perhaps another resource or two out there that you did when you mentioned Quora about like researching, neighborhoods, subdivisions, things that are talked about, questions to answer as a function of content creation. Can you expand on that?
Oh, Quora, I don't know. I don't remember that. I mean, you can, there's a website called Ask the Public that you could look at. Yeah,
that was the one.
Okay,
Yeah.
There you go. Ask the Public. You could also go on Reddit. I mean, Reddit, there's always now be careful on Reddit, but you can get caught up in some mess there, but you can easily, you can look at, if you use the word visit in your town, I don't know about, at least in Texas, there's a lot of city and suburb websites that you just type in like visit Frisco or visit Plano. And that's kind of the normal thing to get that company website. And it's usually like .org or something like that. But that's something if you want to research that city. But otherwise, I would just Google that city and you'll probably find the city or the county sanctioned website, whatever it is you want to call that. That usually has a lot of good facts and stats on it. You could go to census.gov. That's if you want the hard facts. That's usually the most accurate. Niche.com is another one that I know of. And I mean, there's several others, but you can go on some rabbit holes. But ultimately, I think if you just Google your city, you're going to see a good list of information. I mean, you could even go on Wikipedia and find a few stories there. Just be mindful of what you read on Wikipedia, of course, right? Because that can always
open source.
Yeah. But you want hard facts. I mean, census.gov is going to give you all the Census Bureau, the government facts. But again, they could be 1 to 2 years behind, but I mean, that's good. I mean, I don't think anybody really cares if the population is 240, but it's actually 250,000 and you say 240. I mean, I've been hit a couple of times on some of my stats, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, well, you get the general idea. And it's not, typically people are not moving to places for the exact stats. They want to know the general stuff. But now, even with school districts, I mean, if you look at school ratings and that sort of thing online, it really comes down to the rating systems, and then they have it all broken down to, all these different factors. And so it's the same thing. I always tell people, look, you got to look at what's most important for you, because they could rate it high on this metric and rate it low on this metric. And if you don't care about that low rated metric and that brings it down to a 7 versus an 8, I mean, really, is that a big deal? And at the same time, it's, so all those things just kind of to look at. But I think those are some good places to research.
That's awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I just want to, if I heard you right and other people that I've followed, mostly it sounds like the more I can go about answering questions instead of just coming up with random content, that possibly that'll be a little more sticky on YouTube or, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, if you find what people are searching for, I mean, I believe that's the quickest way to get clients, right? Because if they're searching for that information, and you can find it by search volume as well, which is why we use TubeBuddy. And you can just find out. And if you write that stuff down, you actually search those different questions and areas and suburbs, then it's going to give you a good idea. And I would start with the most searched ones, because that gives you more opportunity to get found sooner rather than later.
Do you like AI platforms of any kind to help generate either if you will, I'll I'll call it a script, but that's not really the direction I'm looking for. Again, I'm looking for those things that tend to just bring some of that stuff to the surface according, to algorithmic views.
AI as far as for what people are searching for?
Yeah, because another thing I'd like to take this, to the next level with would be perhaps, on my website, create a blog that would perhaps extrapolate, either the, what's the word, the transcript, and then, edit it in an AI editor or something like that to really kind of boost that type of a thing, yet not necessarily cross-pollinate, but have those kinds of resources out there, if you will. Hopefully that makes sense.
We operate a blog site, and I think what, but I don't know. I as much as advanced AI can be right now, too, we still edit things manually just because I don't know, sometimes the AI just doesn't catch things. And so therefore we feel like it's better if we're going to have copy or written text, it's better to be edited by a person on there. But if we can transcribe, and we don't typically transcribe our videos to convert them into blogs. We write a separate blog post. And so we have somebody that does that because I think blogs are just as important, as the video. But we don't want to direct, because you think about it, if it's transcribed in YouTube, it's transcribed in YouTube. And so that becomes kind of its own thing. So if we can create another piece of content, which a blog is a piece of content, and keyword rich that thing as well, in addition to that, to us, that's giving us two pieces of content versus the same piece of content on two different places.
That sounds good. Yeah, no, because I really like your platform psychology, as you referenced it. That was a huge nugget when I first heard you talk about it, and I've heard you talk many times since then. But not trying to push people down different directions and stuff like that. Because when I'm on YouTube, I'm on YouTube. I'm not anywhere else, nor do I care to go somewhere else necessarily,
right,
unless I'm really in a research mode, going to look for something specific. Yeah. So awesome. Thanks for your time, sir.
All right. You're welcome, Paul. Thanks for joining us, and talk soon.
Yep.
Kyle, I see you down there. Kyle, you got a thumbs up. You good to go? You ready to rock and roll?
Hey, sorry. Can you hear me okay? I'm in kind of a loud area.
You're actually in the coffee bar. So Paul just had the coffee bar decorated behind him. You're in the coffee bar.
Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. It's a little noisy, but go ahead. We'll tolerate it. We'll tolerate it for now.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I was mainly jumping on. I didn't have the intent to blast your guys' eardrums here, but I've got pretty much everything I need to get my channel set up. I guess some of the main questions I have is, like, whenever you guys first started, there seems to be for the most part, a pretty extensive setup. At what point did you guys decide to just kind of jump in and start making videos? Because I'm sitting here going through and I'm watching your guys' videos, and I'm like, man, I feel like I could just keep going. I could keep learning more. Do I need to just jump in and start doing videos, or should I really take my time and absorb as much of this as possible and be as prepared as possible before I jump in a video? What are your thoughts on that?
So I think I heard you correctly. There definitely was a lot of background noise there. I think what you're seeing, if you're going through what we've put together for agents, yes, everything is completely professionally done, but that took us well over a year to get there. So if that's answering your question, everything that I've done, and I still shoot my own videos on my iPhone. So I used an iPhone for the first year. I still use my iPhone. I use a $20 tripod. And I still have that same tripod I bought a year ago. I still have the same microphone I bought a year ago. So in totality, that was about $150 worth of equipment, you could say. Other than that, I did everything else at really no cost. I bought a $20 ring light. That's in there again, and that was it. If you go to my first videos, like in my office, every single one of them is completely different on lighting, on angles, because I would move I'd move my iPhone and the ring light over here. I mean, I was like the beauty influencer with my iPhone stuck in the middle of the ring light, felt like I was doing my makeup. I'd set it in front of the window. I'd set it in the corner. I'd set it on this angle and that. So, I mean, all my videos are kind of all over the place as far as consistency. It wasn't until, we got a year into this and was generating, income from the real estate sales that we decided to upgrade and do a couple of things and really kind of upgrade in the office. But even whenever I upgraded my camera in my office, I didn't understand how to really work it because that's something I never really took time to dig into until we ended up hiring a videographer. Once we hired the videographer, which his name is Alex, by the way, he started showing me how all this stuff worked, and then also setting up everything and set up the office and our studio and all that. And that's where we decided to make that investment at that time. But the reality is I could still do absolutely everything I need to do on my iPhone, and I still do. Actually, we got videos that are coming out this week, videos that came out last week that I still do with my iPhone 11 to this day. It's still in my bag. I still use it. It's my old phone that when I upgraded, I just kept my iPhone 11 as my shooting phone, So I don't think you don't want to look at where we're at today versus where you're starting. I do know that for a fact because yes, this is a real office. We have a real office. We have a real studio. We've taken the time to make that investment. Now, if you aspire to that sort of thing, then you want to reinvest your money. I mean, the first year and a half of this, Travis and I paid ourselves the least amount of money possible so that we could invest not just in equipment, but people. Because, as much as we needed Chrissy to come on full-time sooner than Alex technically, but we understood that content is king and content is what pays the bills. So we brought Alex on full-time first. And Chrissy wasn't too far behind that. And then now, I have to look at our organization chart now. I think we've got almost eight full-time people now. And that's just, but again, that's because we're investing into people first. Instead of like going out and, dropping money on a rental property, which a lot of people, nothing wrong with that, but that's just our mentality for right now is like, instead of dropping money on a rental property, we're like, well, can we take that money and can we hire another VA or another person in-house, or who can we expand that across to versus, investing in a house, that is going to take us who knows how long to get that investment back. Nothing wrong with it. I love real estate and I think it's a great investment, but for us and our needs, we're trying to expand and grow. So for us, that's people and processes and equipment. So I was thinking just stick with it, man. Yes, get out there, make videos. Nobody's going to watch your first videos anyways. So that's the other good thing. It's progress. It's not perfection at all. It's progress, not perfection. Go look at our live streams. All right. So go look at our live streams over the past 3 weeks. They were, the first one was, I got kicked out of the first live stream. How does that happen? I'm like, I started this thing and I got kicked out of it, and the first live stream, and then the second and the third, we still had problems. We still had internet. Now is this our fourth one? This is our fourth or fifth one. Now our fourth one, and we just now finally have a clear connection, all that, And now I just realized I told Alex, when he cuts to that side angle, cut to that side angle of me. So look at that. You see how dark I am? Because I told him, I was like, well, maybe we should put the light in this corner. But now as soon as he cuts to this angle, I'm completely shadowed out. So now I know, okay, we don't want the light in that corner now anymore. If we're going to, oh, he likes it. So he likes it from an artistic standpoint, but I'm thinking, okay, well, nobody can see me. So what he's saying is he'd rather people see me in the dark than in light is what he's saying. So that's what I'm picking up from that. But, ultimately, this is a constant progress, not perfection types of thing. Some people might embarrassed by it. I thought it was funny. I'll tell you, after the first live stream, I wasn't happy with our building, because that's whenever we found out in our office that our Ethernet jacks were not working. So I was like, how are we paying rent and we have all this stuff and our Ethernet jacks? But we found that out 2 minutes before we started the live stream, which is why we had a bad connection and I got kicked out. And, so it's one of those things, but we still which is also why I have Chrissy here all the time for backup. She's my backup. I mean, I do Zoom calls. So the thing is that, even starting on the live thing, I mean, when you go live like this, there is no do-overs. There is no, okay, let's stop and pause. And so that's why we had to roll with it. And whenever I got people here hanging out, I can't just quit, and say, okay, well, let's cut everything and forget it. I'm like, no, we got to figure it out. And I may be blurry. And those first 3 lives were, terrible on the connection. You go back and watch them, they're blurry. And it doesn't look good. But hey, the thing is that I think it's a great point of just, you got to get started. This was new for us to kind of work on this live stream. We understood how it worked, but everything did not work properly, for us. So I wouldn't, just the main thing is focus where you're at, progress what you're doing, improve that. You can, if you look at where we're at, just think of that as that's a goal. Okay, if I want to be there in 12 months or 18 months, I think you want to have those goals, but we've done a lot. We've done a lot. We've invested a lot, but it's snowballed as well. Just like whenever I talk about video compounds your time and it can compound your income too. And so all of this is now a cascade of events where we've expanded team members, we've expanded agents, but our lead flow has doubled and tripled and quadrupled as well. And so, being able to give those leads out, we're getting more deals closed, and that's bringing in more income. And so we're just able to invest that. And so, that's the other thing too, is look at where you're at in your business. And I think the most successful people are the ones that can look at and say, okay, let me pay myself what I need to pay myself, take care of myself and my family. But every little extra I get, I'm going to reinvest that. I'm going to improve. I'm going to, and I would hire people before equipment, would be my big recommendation. The best thing you can do is hire somebody to help offload some of your stuff. And so I would hire people over equipment, because the iPhone, hell, you can upgrade your phone right now and get an iPhone 13, and that thing is killer. I mean, those cameras are killer on there. But again, I'm still using the iPhone 11, and it works just fine. So don't get caught up in the equipment thing or that. I think you have everything you need. And so hopefully, does that answer your question?
Yeah, one other question. Hopefully you can hear me okay. Sorry if you can't.
Yeah.
I'm in. If you're in a market where there's already some agents here kind of doing the same thing, what would your recommendation be? Would it be to try to hit some of the suburbs, the popular suburbs that aren't being hit at the moment, or would it be to just kind of follow the path that you had mentioned in the videos, where you pick the highest viewed areas first, make the videos that you recommend, post them, and just kind of follow that same path? Because we have some agents here that are already doing it.
What market are you in?
Seattle.
Oh, you're in Seattle? Yeah, I mean, there's only one Kyle in Seattle, right? So again, I think it comes down to personality, and so you're going to attract people that want to work with you. So I would make content on the areas you want to work. I wouldn't worry about other people there, other videos there. And the thing is that YouTube, you come out with some good videos and some fresh content, sometimes YouTube will pick that up. And if you do everything correctly, if you're in our course, then if you optimize correctly, then it's probably going to give you a good little boost at the beginning too. So just make sure that you're capturing people's attention, being informational, giving them everything they need to do that. And sometimes it's you can get a lot of good traction in the beginning. And so I would focus on the areas you want to work. Look again at the most searched areas that you want to work and start there, and just produce content. Also look at the volume. How many videos are they putting out per week, and outwork them.
Awesome. Thank you. Next time I jump on, I'll be somewhere quieter.
All right. Sounds good. All right, man. All right. Good to talk, Kyle. What's up, Denny? What's up, fam? Yeah. Let's keep it PG this time, Denny. How about that? Let's do that. Let's see, life in Tampa, Florida. After our first video, what numbers or days should we wait for before we share our own channel? Never, ever. I don't know. We've never shared our channel. It's just, that's what Paul was talking about when we talked about platform psychology. That's what I talk about. Is like, I think when people are consuming a platform, they're in the mood to consume that platform. So if people are on TikTok, they're on Instagram, they're likely in the mood to consume short form content. So if you share a YouTube video there that's 15 or 20 minutes, first of all, they're probably not researching real estate on those platforms. And so if they see your video, they could say, oh, that looks interesting, click on it, jump over, and then they say, oh, it's a 15-minute video. I'm not in the mood to watch a 15-minute video. I want to watch 15 one-minute videos. You know, they'll spend the same amount of time on the platform, but they just want to consume short-form content and probably are not even thinking about being in the research mode at that time. So I don't know if that's the right audience whenever you share it to other platforms. On top of that, if you haven't noticed, you'll notice it now. When you click over from another platform, you're never signed in to YouTube. And so if you try to like or even subscribe to a video that you've jumped over from platform, it'll say, please sign in. And what do most people do? Even though it's like 2 clicks, they'll be like, oh, I don't feel like signing in right now. And then they'll jump off and go back to watching silly cat videos on TikTok, right? And if that's the case, somebody jumped on your video for 10, 15, 20 seconds, and then they jumped off. So first of all, YouTube doesn't know who that person is because they weren't signed in, and they just know that they watched your video for about 15 seconds and jumped off. And that's just a theory, but that's what I believe. I know that's what I've done. If I've ever clicked on a YouTube video from another platform, I haven't stayed on, and if I had to sign in, I probably said, oh, let me jump off. Now, being that I'm a lot more familiar, sometimes I'll just go onto my YouTube app and then search for that channel if I want to, try to find it. But I don't know. But you can do what you want. Ultimately, it's your channel. The Houston team, they share their stuff. They're doing really, really well. They got some good closings coming on. So up to you. All right.
Well, and another thing that it does, though, just to add, it skews your analytics two different ways. Because especially I see this a lot with people. I get asked all the time, like, should I share this onto my Facebook group or onto my Facebook page? And on your Facebook pages, that you have 2 different sets of people. You have a set of people who are actually interested in what you're doing, and then you've got a set of cheerleaders. And so you may have a bunch of cheerleaders who aren't actually interested in buying from you at all. Go watch your video in support, click like, comment below, all of that stuff, and then share it to people. But then what are you doing? You're exposing your video to an audience that isn't completely interested in what you're doing. And so then you're skewing your analytics, and YouTube is trying to read who's watching your videos when those people aren't even your target audience. And so it can skew it that way. The other way is like what Levi was saying, your view duration and things like that are going to be cut, into a percentage of what it would be for somebody who's actually searching for that. So it kind of goes back to that intentional searching. You're not giving your video the best chance of being distributed organically on YouTube when you share it to people who aren't already searching for it.
Yep. All right, we got one more. Let's wrap this up with Marie. Marie, I'm bringing you on. What's up, Marie? How are you?
I am so excited to be here. Can you hear me okay?
We can, yeah.
Great. I am so excited. I'm a new agent as of January. I actually have had my license for a while, but I was making over 6 figures in my former job, and I kept running through my head the 87% that fail, and I thought, oh, I don't want to be one of them. Mm-hmm. But it just got to the point where, after 16 years of being in the car, driving, so I finally said, oh, just do it. So I've jumped in, and I've done a couple of coaching over the last couple of years. And it's like everybody has their own platform. The first one I was in, it was all Facebook, mm-hmm. and very heavy into CRM. And then I joined EXP with a sponsor, and he likes YouTube, but he goes through all the platforms. And quite frankly, like you were saying, Levi and Chrissy, when you're on YouTube, now I've done some YouTubes with my prior brokerage, but people form a relationship with you. And, but I found that with Facebook, it was really kind of like a waste of money. And I even tried postcards. That was a waste of money. And now they're dogging me. Oh, please buy another $3,000 worth of postcards.
Yep.
And people like you, Levi, because you're so natural. You know, you make little bloopers like the reptile one. I'm a warm-blooded reptile. I love that.
I am.
But, you know, you kept it going. You know, you didn't get flustered. And you also speak in a normal tone and a normal speed. And I've been told that I speak too slow, and you have to be entertaining, and you have to be you don't want to be a dud. I mean, you want to smile and be, you know, engaging. But, you know, you're not going to have a personality transplant, for God's sakes. And as you said, there's somebody for everybody. Mm-hmm. So I want to thank you. I'm very excited to be here and to learn. And I actually found out how to enter the studio. I am persistent.
Okay.
So thank you.
So you're Annapolis, Maryland.
I am.
I thought so. The icons are a little small on our screen, but I thought that might be you. So.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for all the kind words. Yes, and so be yourself. I do think when you get on video, you do kind of you want to step up the energy a little bit. But again, you don't want to be this character either. So,
right.
But at the same time, I really appreciate that. So it's just, I don't know. I have fun with it now. My camera is my friend, and so that's the way I see it. I feel like I'm taking my friend through the neighborhood, and this is what I try to relay that information to agents, is that you do this all the time. You've done it probably for years. And if I came to Annapolis right now and said, hey, you know, can you sell me a house or help me find a house? You could say yes. And you could take me around. You could show me all the neighborhoods. You could talk through all of that in one take. You know, you don't take somebody into a house and go, oops, let me do a second take. Oh, let me do a third take. Let me do a fourth take. Oh, wait, I messed that up. And so, you know, people feel like they have to do that on video because it has to be perfect. And yet you're not perfect in real life. And you don't do that with clients. And if you stumble over your words or trip, you can't get a lockbox open. You're just kind of like, oh, hold on. You work through it. But, you know, and so just allow the natural things to happen, and then just, but have that conversation with the camera, because that's going to go way beyond your conversation with just one client.
Correct. So thank you for teaching us. You're the first one that has actually been natural and said, don't worry if it goes too long. Because I've also been told 5 minutes and then cut it off. Oh, one quick question, Levi, if I may.
Sure.
So one of the, my sponsor is saying, do pattern interrupt. Have things come onto the screen as you're speaking, like call now or something along those lines. And I didn't know if that was distracting to what was being said on the YouTube. What's your thought?
Well, actually, I think when you're trying to get in here, we were discussing pattern interrupt quite a bit. So you could always go back and watch the replay. But just to kind of sum that up, I mean, I think pattern interrupts are important. Now, call now, I don't know. To me, that's a little infomercial-y kind of,
Yes.
So we talk about pattern. If you're going to have something on the screen, it's better to have B-roll or just, a clip of the neighborhood or drone footage. Or I noticed my editor right now really loves Friends, apparently, because I get a lot of Friends clips in there. So, and in The Office, I think that's their go-to, is Friends and The Office. So anytime I say something profound, it's usually who is that? Michael Scott, doing something profound. If I'm smacking my head, if I say something silly, it's Jim, right? Jim Can. He's like,
Dwight. You get lots of Dwight.
Yeah, I get a lot. I don't know, but I'm like, okay, I like it. So, but I mean, something like that. So the graphics or the B-roll or just little funny clips in there that emphasize what you're saying, those are all pattern interrupts, and that's fine if you're doing an office video. If you're outside in a neighborhood, we talked about this, where if you're outside in the neighborhood, you should have natural pattern interrupts or camera angle changes, because, you can simply shift, just like this. You can change hands with your camera. There's just a lot of things you can do. I mean, just even walking, like even just your gait when you walk is kind of depending on how you walk. I don't know. So I actually notice I have to be careful not to drag my feet whenever I'm walking, because my microphone is so good, it can pick up that shh, shh, shh. And I tend to, if I'm walking in the neighborhood, sometimes I'll walk fast, sometimes I'll walk slow. If I'm walking slow to make sure I cover a house or something, then that's where I'll tend to, my feet will just literally shh, shh, shh. And whenever I'm reviewing a video, I'm always like, oh, darn it, drag my feet. Now, I typically pick that up sometimes, so it may only happen once or twice. In the beginning, I noticed I did it quite a bit, and I was just, because sometimes when you're walking by yourself, that's kind of peaceful in a way, when you kind of just, just kind of shimmy and scrape the concrete. I don't know, if you're just walking by, but I got to remember it's not about me. On camera, I don't think it sounds good. So now I have to make a conscious effort moving forward not to shimmy my feet on the ground. So those types of things, if there's leaves, like during fall, you want to be mindful of walking literally on leaves on the sidewalk or on the street or things like that. So just think about that. But otherwise, outside, you should have plenty of pattern interrupts, plenty of angle changes. But yeah, office videos, I think that definitely matters because of if you're mainly just sitting there. So
right.
Now we also talked about you could set up a second, if you have another iPhone or something like that, you could set it up from the side. Yeah.
Yes, I like that. And I like, but your pattern interrupts are life. Here comes a car, I better get out of the street, that sort of thing. But I'm talking about, call now. And I mean, at one point you did have call, text, subscribe, bell, something like that. But that was kind of cute because it was almost like a cartoon with the arrow touching each one. But
that's at the beginning too. So that is a specific call to action. That's different,
Yes.
So that's a specific call to action where I'm just telling them, hey, give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email. That is giving a visual, but I wouldn't be my recommendation, and I haven't done that, where it just randomly pops up through the video just to pop it up.
Right. Okay. All right. That sounds great.
All right.
All right. That's it for me. Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. Thanks for coming on. Good to talk to you.
Good to talk.
Oh, sorry. Whoops. Clipped her a little too short there. All good. Okay. All right. Shaystine, you're going to have to pop your camera on. You had to come in right at the last minute, of course. All right. We'll jump on real quick and let us know, or I don't know, comment, question, concern. What can we help you out with today?
Yes, so you can see me. Oh, great.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah, you look like you're in a really comfy chair. Is that your office?
No, I'm getting a pedicure with my girlfriend right now.
Oh, okay. I see. Oh, living up that real estate lifestyle.
But your toes got to look good just in case the camera's on.
There you go.
No, so the question that I have is, I am in a smaller area. I'm in Vancouver, Washington, which borders Portland, Oregon. And when I'm obviously following you, I see that you advertise Dallas, although you do a lot in Plano, which is about 30 minutes away. However, in Vancouver, we either have 30 minutes going into Portland, Oregon, in which I don't do Portland, Oregon, and I'm sure I know you're going to say, well, do it anyway. Otherwise, if I stay in Washington, my 45-minute drive, there's only one other main area, which would be, Kelso, Cannell, Longview. That's kind of those little areas. So what I'm wondering is if I'm wanting to stay in Clark County, which is more of the tip of Southwest Washington, then would I aim it more towards, communities, suburbs? I think we have 4 different little actual cities within Vancouver, but really they're like 15, 20 minutes from downtown Vancouver, which is Vancouver. So when I'm trying to create the YouTube banner, like what do I want it to be? So far, I have it as living in Southwest Washington is how I have it. Okay. I did the YouTube buddy, and looked at everything. There's a couple others that already have living in just Vancouver, Washington, or living in, Pacific Northwest, or, so I'm kind of like trying to figure out how I'm going to tailor, since I don't have as many areas as it seems like you do, so that I can always have content after exhausting, the initial of the smaller cities that I have, or not really cities, because they're about 15, 20 minutes from Vancouver.
Yeah. So is Vancouver your main market?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I would just try to position it probably, and if it has the most search volume, because I typically people, as far as I know, I haven't really seen it search like Southwest Washington. You know, they're probably going to search Vancouver. That's probably more specific. But I would look at it. I mean, if you can get away with it, Vancouver is probably going to be the bigger driver. I mean, we are definitely Dallas, Texas, but I mean, we hardly sell anything in Dallas. It's literally all the suburbs, and so that we end up working in. I mean, we do some business in Dallas, but I mean, we just everybody, that's the main driver, the main attractor, and then we go out from there. So my initial assumption would be Vancouver, and then you have playlist on all the other little areas around there, and then you make as many videos as possible on those areas to get as much information out there on all those little areas that you want to work. But ultimately, I couldn't tell you anything close to Vancouver other than maybe Seattle. And so I would know, but I may start with, I know I want to be at Vancouver because it's on the border, or I think, don't people shop there because there's no sales tax or something? Is that what I've heard about it?
Vancouver, there's no income tax. Portland, Oregon, there is an actual income tax. We actually have a sales tax in Washington.
So people live in Vancouver, right, and then commute to Portland?
We'll go to Portland to buy our big items.
Yeah, okay. Oh, there's no sales tax on purchase items in Portland?
Right.
Right, so you live in Vancouver, but you shop in Portland. Okay, yeah, that's what I'd heard before. So I would exploit that for videos one way or another. You know, that'd be a series of a couple of videos.
So Seattle, Washington, which everybody knows Washington as, that is like 2.5 to 3 hours away.
But you don't want to work Seattle, right?
No. Well, and that's my question. I mean, because it's that far away, I wouldn't use that as a major, living in. Not that, who knows, I'm sure there's a million people living in Seattle, Washington already, as far as, well, probably not a million agents, but that do YouTube, but you know.
I mean, it could be, I mean, you could look at Vancouver living, or, you know, moving to Vancouver or relocating to Vancouver. I don't know, maybe people are fleeing Seattle and moving to Vancouver, you know, because if it's a little bit more conservative compared to Seattle, that's something else. You may have a bigger relocation market than you know. I mean, but I would capitalize off of those tax variations and things like that, but probably still Vancouver may be the main driver still.
Okay, so drop the Southwest, living in Southwest Washington, and do more of just Vancouver, Washington. That's it. Do the suburb. I mean, do all the neighborhoods and suburbs around it as playlist. Right. Yeah. Okay.
I think.
Okay. I mean, doesn't matter if other agents have it though.
No, I mean, well, YouTube doesn't. I mean, it's. Yeah, I know. The thing is YouTube doesn't limit channel names. I mean, there's no exclusivity on channel names. So there's two thoughts behind that. Number one, you can piggyback off of if they have some momentum, you know. So, but number two, yeah, it's not really original to name it the same as another channel, right? So there's a little bit of a good side and a bad side. I would say, yes, if you want to be unique, if you really, really want something that's just different, then you could do Vancouver living, or moving to Vancouver, or relocating to Vancouver. But it's not going to stop anybody else from duplicating that name as well. So somebody could come in and make the same name you have, and then what do you do at that point? If you're like, well, I want my own name, you're still in the same situation if you made a living in channel, right? But you know, I would just look at it. If the search volume is not that much different, I mean, Vancouver is going to be the main driver, but you could change it up a little bit. And so, you know,
make sure to put Vancouver, Washington, because every time you say Vancouver, they think it's Vancouver, BC.
Yeah, that's the other Vancouver I know of. Yeah, and it's probably maybe a little bit more known. But
yeah, okay. So make sure to stick with the Vancouver, Washington, and see what I have to move around there to keep it.
I would explore it. Yeah, I mean, I would definitely explore it. So, but I think that'd be the way.
And it's okay if I'm duplicating another name out there. That's the A-okay.
Yeah, because if you come up with your own unique name, it doesn't stop anybody from duplicating your name.
Okay. All right. Perfect.
And
thank you.
Ultimately, it's going to come down to personality, right? So if somebody finds 2 living in Vancouver channels. They're going to watch that one. They're going to watch yours. And the people that like you are going to call you.
Okay.
I mean, the people that like pedicures and big comfy chairs, they're going to be like, yep.
Right? You got to be comfortable.
They're going to be like, that's my person.
Thank you.
All right. Well, have a great day.
Appreciate it. Thank
You're welcome.
you.
All right. Well, I'm gonna cut it off before we get any further down the rabbit hole. Okay. There's a few more questions. All right. Well, we're good. I think that covered everybody today. So thank you for joining us. Don't forget, hit that like button. I probably should have said that way sooner, but hey, we're still trying to figure this thing out. So, anyways, thanks, Chrissy, for joining us.
Always.
All right. See you.
Thank you for joining us on today's podcast. If you're interested in partnering with us to access our YouTube course and coaching all for free, schedule a call at 5starstrategycall.com.